This is When I Grow Up with Paul Glazby.
So, Baby Doc, one of my
Hello.
all-time favorite producers, the Enigma. All through my career, we spoke, I think maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was the first time we'd ever had any interaction. But most of the people that I, looked up to, I got to meet at some point, and I got to know, and but you were just like, like Kaiser Soze in The Usual Suspects. You were like that, like you just I didn't know anyone that knew you. Everyone knew who you were, but like I never had any contact. All I had was just these amazing tracks.
Oh, thank you.
I just
I kind of after a certain point, after like the turn of the noughties, I had a period where I just kind of wanted to fuck off.
Right.
And I kind of went to America a lot of the time. I kind of like been doing music business like solidly, like since I was in my early 20s, and like very successfully at times, not always. And I just kind of needed to get away. And to be honest, like, most of my gigs were never really in England.
Right.
I very rarely played in England, and they're always in Europe or America or Canada, Australia, places like that.
Right.
So, and I kind of just needed to get away, and I think now I'm kind of enjoying doing music again. It's been great,
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. Like doing this podcast has kind of got me back into it. Like I've just done 4 new tracks this year.
Oh, fantastic.
And I've got, plans to do other stuff, but it's through doing this and speaking to all the people that I've been speaking to so far that's just really reignited my sort of passion for it. But last week we had on, it came out this week actually, the Tidy Boys were on, and we asked a question, or somebody had sent in a question: who made the biggest impact on the hard house scene? And Amadeus said you.
Oh, bless you, Amadeus.
Yeah, so it's high praise, obviously, and that's coming from someone because the other thing that I really have enjoyed through doing this podcast is because I came into a scene that was already there.
Yeah.
Hard house, it had not sort of got to the peak, but everybody knew what hard house was, and I came into that scene. But there's people like you and E&M, the Tidy Boys, I guess, as well, that basically were there before there was a scene, that helped create the scene. But for him to say that you had because what he said is the reason he said that is that Tony DeVee would hear your tracks and then go in the studio and try and emulate
Tony was a dear friend of mine, bless him. I remember I actually took Ammo to trade for the first time. Ammo, both of them I took to trade. But I mean, the origins of Hard House were, Red Jerry has got a lot to do with starting kind of helping form the, basically before, it was basically me and John that started doing that sound, me and John the dentist. Before that, even at trade and stuff, you had house, like proper house with, a lot of like, wailing divas. And then you had people like Daz Horn and Trevor Rockcliffe that came on afterwards that played proper hard European techno. And there wasn't like anything between the two. And what me and John, I think, how we kind of formed the sound with others, but we were kind of I would say the first ones, was that we put the house and the hard techno together, it was with Red Jerry from Pole Cult Records, and I think we did. I think I did 2 or 3 records with him, and John did the same. And he introduced us all, and it was a London scene. It was completely London. And then maybe a year or 2 later, Tony sort of came down, and Ian and the Tidy Boys, But I mean, it was all it was a growing thing, It was I wouldn't say it was especially like one person or the other,
Yeah.
But it was an exciting time. I mean, our first record that I would call the first, probably in my view, but I might be wrong, was In Fantasy, that we put out. Me and Baby Doc and the Dentist, we put out Cole Cox put it out on his MMR record.
Right.
And we put that record out kind of thinking, no one's going to like this. We'll see what happens. And it just took off. Next thing we know, we're going to Germany. We're going to Holland all the time. And we were like the only English people there. And it just blew out. It's suddenly getting all this money coming from everywhere, you know. But it wasn't. We just wanted to make records that we wanted to dance to. It wasn't a case that we were trying to, you know. It was a throwaway thing at the time. If I look back, I would have because now, like, if you're recording a tune now, you've got all the stems and stuff when you finish working. And back then, we had like a day in the studio. We didn't have much money, so you go in and you work 6 hours, and you try to get 2 or 3, or did someone just shoot someone? You try to get as much done in as little time as possible, because it costs so much money. You know, no one. I mean, very few people had studios at home. You know. And we didn't think these tunes people would want to hear in 30, 40 years. So, you know, we just made them and then, you know, didn't think that we thought, well, that's a good one for today. Let's do another one for next week. But back then it was an exciting time because, I mean, we used to, there was a studio, it was called Boundary Row Studios. And it had the Hooge studio, which was Red Joey's studio. And it had a Beat Farm, which was Marco Perry's, which is every tune you've ever heard from the 90s. Most of them were made in that studio. And it was like a 24-hour a day thing. You know, there's a pool table, we all used to meet around it. But it was like, we go in there and I remember one time, me and John, we weren't meant to be in the studio. We actually broke in. We're running down the studio. Work because they had shifts in the studio. We broke in the middle of the night, recorded a tune. I can't remember, it was quite a big one. I can't remember which one it was. I'll remember I was one on Folkart anyway. And we worked all night, and then we cleaned up really quickly, and we went running out, and the studio boss was coming in. As we come out, we went, all right. No, but it was a really exciting time. And then a bit later on, then we had, you know, Tony started coming up, started playing at Trade, and Ian, and we all became really good friends, you know. I mean, so, you know, it was if I'd known how influential maybe that time had been, I would have paid more attention, if you know what I mean.
But I think that's the thing, though. Like when you're doing stuff like that, like, I mean, not exactly the same, but like I've always said that I've never played for the crowd. I just turn up and play what I want to play, and I'm just lucky that people like it. And I think sometimes with music, if you overthink it, you can run yourself into the ground with it. I think, you know, so you guys doing it the way that you did, you know, that freedom you've got sort of translates into the music, and that's why it lasts so long. You know,
it's such true words, you know, Paul. If you overthink something, you can sap the magic out of it. You know,
exactly.
It's like some of my best, the ones it's funny enough, a few tunes. There's one I did that was actually Tony's favorite record of mine, which was called Yum Yum. And the A side, I just overthought it. I kind of wanted it to be this huge kind of dark symphony, and everything. And the B side, I spent, must have been about 2 hours on it.
Right.
And that's one, I still play that tune. The first one I wouldn't play ever. You know what I mean? But it's just sometimes it's that freedom when you artistically stop worrying. And also, if you even now when I'm making tunes, if I overwork a tune, they just started losing their magic. You know, you can feel it dripping away. So I kind of force I don't mind with the tunes I'm making now. I don't, because, you know, the tunes I'm making now, I don't mind if it's got a few rough edges. I leave them. You know, whereas the old day, you can edit everything. You know, cut it and edit. But you lose the magic. You know. Yeah.
I'm not sure if this story is true, but I like it.
Okay.
Sorry, it's not about you though. It's about Black Sabbath with their Paranoid track. So the story I heard is that they needed to fill 3 minutes to fill what they need, the duration of the album, and they threw that track together, and then it ended up being the biggest track that they ever had. And that happens, I think, a lot, like you just said. You know, like you can just have that if it's a good idea, And if you've got some natural talent, which obviously you do, then it can just work.
I did a track that ended up on the Man on Wire film.
Right.
Man on Fire with Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington,
yeah. And I just made that tune by myself in the studio because I needed a track for playing live. And I never even really thought to put it out. I can't remember how they ended up hearing it. I don't think I had a friend in the production company or something. I don't really remember. But that's a prime example. And that was one of my favorite tracks to play live because it had a complete, because I wasn't really worried about it. I was just like, I just need a bit between this tune and that tune. And that's a prime example of that, but I mean, there's a couple of tunes. There was one I remember that I was trying to do a kind of spaghetti. This was in the 90s, dear God, I look back at things I used to do then. Bit too many late nights, shall we say. There was a tune I was trying to, and it was meant to be this big spaghetti western thing, and I got these singers in to do the and all the love, the Jew harp and everything, and and I tried it and I did it for months. That cost me a fortune. Never finished it, know. And it was just one of those ones. The thing about being a record producer, you got to know when to walk away. I for instance, Injected the Poison, because back then my remix of that, I did it for. I think RNS or someone in the original label in Belgium. I can't remember who it was. One of the labels in Belgium. They paid me a lot of money to do it. And I remember I went to the studio and I really overthought it. And it was like, I just thought, this isn't very good. Then me and Bernie, the engineer, we just thought, right, we'll just go to the pub. And we got pissed at lunchtime at the pub. And then we went back and I just go, let's do heavy metal. I made that tune. I really like that tune. I haven't played it for a while.
Amazing.
Thank you. I made that tune I think we did it in like 4 hours, start to finish. And even if you listen to it, there's bits out of time. And this guy, well, there's like, they're not in eights because we were pissed. So I was like, that will do.
Right. Yeah. Well, because when I was learning I think that was probably either that or Age of Love would have been the first things that I heard of yours. So this would have been 97, 98 when I first started learning to mix. But yeah, Injected with the Poison would catch me out because of that. There's like an extra bar or 2 bars or something towards the end.
It goes, the bolt is wrong.
Yeah.
But I know. I really like that tune. And when I thought I've got to send this to the record company, what the fuck are they going to think, man? Because I noticed it. It was through a big major in London. It was like that. I can't remember which label. It was one of the big majors. It's through them to RNS. Or if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I can't remember this, but it's been a long time.
It was the release I got. It was on. God, they got something banana. Was it?
No, that Top Banana was. That wasn't on. That was Never Lost His Hardcore.
Sorry. Yeah. You're right.
Anyway, someone will look it up and remember who the label was. I think it was the original label from Belgium, but it was through the conduit of a major label. And I listened to it, I thought, there's no way they're going to fucking like this. It's like heavy metal, like proper kind of like, because my first gig I ever went to was the Ramones when I was 10. That's true. It's true. I'll finish this story first. And I thought, there's no way they're going to like this. And as an artist, you must know this. When you've made something, it becomes your little baby. Yeah. And if you don't hear back from the record company or the record label, you start doubting it. You start thinking, oh no. You listen and go, all you can hear is the shit bits. You just like, I mean, it's a natural thing that art, like creative people doubts. You have doubt, you have to have doubt. They got back, we fucking love it. And I was like, are you serious? Are you fucking serious? But that was fun. That was a fun one.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Well, I kind of got around that. I started Vicious Circle, so I never had to hear back if they liked it or not. I just put it out.
I love Ben.
So I've got to say, one of the things I aspired when I started making tracks, because obviously I was a DJ that became that did production, and then obviously you've got other people like BK that would be producers that then became DJs. But I always wanted. There's a handful of people, yourself, Paul King and probably, definitely Dom Sweeten, who does Defective Audio and OD404.
Right.
That if I wouldn't even listen to it, I'd just buy it. And that's what I wanted to try and get to, is that people, I don't know if I ever got to it, but the people would just go, oh, it's a new Glazby track, just put it in the, just buy it. That's fine. We don't need to listen to it. I'll listen when I get home. But yeah, your stuff just incredible. And you mentioned the symphony thing earlier. Something I was thinking, because I've been listening, obviously knowing that you're coming on, I've just been going back over the tracks, and because I don't DJ hardly any anymore, I was going through the tracks and I was thinking your stuff, and I don't know how or why, but it's like, if you listen to like Hans Zimmer, and it's like it's setting the mood for a particular part of a film. And your stuff's like that to me. Well, it's not just like a track.
Oh, hello.
This is Molly.
Hello, Molly. Oh, Molly's ignoring me. Well, I was a huge John Carpenter fan. And I can't deny I haven't copied him like throughout my career. I absolutely love John Carpenter and all that kind of dark side, and music from spaghetti westerns, and things like that. But so that was a huge major influence on me. That kind of thing.
Well, that explains it. Come on, baby. She's trying to climb on me. So what was it like?
So it's I'm in Berlin, so it's come to the Berliner time of the day.
Ah, there you go. Yep, excellent. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I've actually been up since 5. I went swimming. In Berlin. It's a beautiful day here. I'm out here till Friday. I've been here for 3 weeks, and I just went swimming this morning. It's the lovely outside pool. It's great. Then I'm
nice.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely. I love it out here. I really do. The scene's amazing here as well. But sorry, I've broken.
I've never been to Germany. It's one of the places that I just never got to. But I should.
I absolutely love it. I mean, like, I'm here till Sunday. Then I go back to my place in London for a week or something, and then I'm back over here, and I'm playing with. We got the part of the Microglobe Collective, which is this group of talented multinational DJs that I'm with, and we've got a float which is like a bus at Rave the Planet, which used to be called Love Parade. So it's 300. So we're playing that. I'm playing there on the 12th. So if anyone's thinking traveling to Berlin, that's the time to come. It's amazing. It's an amazing event. But sorry, I wandered off.
No, I was going to say, what were those early days at Trade like? I mean,
I can remember. Fuck it.
Enough said.
It was like you were in a different world. I mean, this very early days, and this is before I'd probably made a record. It was just. I remember going. It was like walking into hell. And I remember looking down. It was back then. There was a craziness about things. Obviously, it was a gay club, and it was also shortly after. There was also the thing that a lot of people were with the AIDS. Well, I don't know if you call it what's the word, but with the whole AIDS thing, people. A lot of the people that went there had gone through a lot of trauma, and they were expressing their joy of life as hard as they could do. So it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Just the atmosphere as you walked in. Just so you got this wall. It was absolutely incredible. And then you wander out and you just think, was I really there? But I've made a lot of it's fantastic. And then obviously as it went later on, you got more people coming in and more people coming in.
Wow. Okay, so it was being at the clubs that kind of inspired you to make tracks to then dance to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And is it right? Do you engineer or?
Yeah.
Because someone told me once that you, and I'm like, how can he have such a consistent sound if he's going in with different engineers? I couldn't get my head around.
Originally, I mean, my main engineer back in the day was Third Degree Burn, and we just had a good. And I'm a producer. I'm not naturally an engineer. Right. So even today, I will make my tracks to a certain level, and then I'll send them off to get them mixed or partially. I do most of it. I can mix myself. I've done but I know my limitations. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. If I have a mixing desk, I can mix anything. But with the modern situations, which is kind of which is like all digital and like on a little screen, I just find it frustrating. I just want to go like that, like this with a slider. And then like in the old days, you used to put the stuff through mixing desk. You used to turn everything to red, like to 11.
Yeah.
And to distort the desk and stuff. Now you don't do that anymore. You have to go. I mean, I get it to 11. I mean, there are brilliant things about modern equipment. It's like I've got some analog synths that I would have dreamed of owning back in the day. I mean, like, I had that back then. I had in my studio, I think I had 26 analog synths. I had everyone 909, 303, 808, every single one. Profit 5. I had absolutely 101, 202. It's just not 202. 202.
It's only the 404 they didn't do, isn't it?
I had the one I had, which Mike Van Dyke Marmion's got over here, which is which I sold it to a friend, so I can't get it back. Yeah. It was called a CompuSynth, and it was made by Roland. It looks the same as the kind of 909. It's kind of, I can't know if you see it's like that sort of size with just a few knobs on it, which was a bass synth. The idea, I only had the bass part. I bought it off someone from not the Communal. Anyway, one of these 80s bands when they were running it. The Associates. One of the guys from the band called the Associates. He sold it to me, and I used that for all my bass, all back in the day. It was incredible. But it was originally Roland decided to do a computer. It was meant to be ultra modern, and you had a computer and this bass synth that went with it. But I might have to get that one back, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. Well, whatever it is you do, that kick and bass that you sort of create, like the amount of times I've been in the studio with Paul Maddox and I'm like, let's do it like this, but we never quite get it right.
Do you want to know?
Like Baby Dog.
Do you know the tip? Get it in tune.
Oh.
Tuning is everything. I mean, even like I've got a couple of sets to do in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I've got a brilliant track from Holland I got sent today. Oh no, yesterday. Oh, anyway.
Yeah.
But the tuning was fucking terrible, man. So so I tuned it for them. And the moment I got it in tune, it slammed. I mean, there is sometimes if you get everything perfect in tune, sometimes you can sanitize music. Sometimes you need things to be slightly jarring.
Yeah, that bit of conflict. Yeah.
But I mean, I mean, it is an art. It is an art.
Well, you were definitely the artist, that's for sure. Because I think, I mean, obviously we're just talking about Injected with a Poison, Never Lost His Hardcore, Age of Love, I Need You. Paul Maddox, I'm sure it was Paul Maddox when he came on the podcast and he was saying how, because I Need You was probably like a bit of a departure from the kind of stuff that I would play, but I used to love it and it really worked. I used to like bringing in, it was like, you'd be playing hard for 40 minutes and you drop that in and it was like that kind of still banging and pumping, but because of the vocals, it gave a bit of levity, and then I'd go into like another amazing. And he said that him and his mates used to come to Insomniacs and kind of wait for that track because they all loved it and they knew that I'd play it. And like those tracks, if I did a top 20 hard house tracks for me, my favorite top 20, you'd have 6 or 7 would be in that top 20. Yeah, just ridiculous.
But yeah, that tune, I think we made it for my for the Ariba label. I think that was one of the ones. It's got a really weird tuning on it. It kind of flutters up and down. I mean, it's kind of thing that if you listen to someone, I don't remember how we wrote it. It's one of those ones that just came about. And also one thing when we played it live that was brilliant was it's got a double drop in the middle, you know, which is a little pun in which is a little pun in itself.
The double drop.
Yeah, well, and it always caught people out every time, you know that. But it's a kind of weird record. I mean, if I had to kind of copy it, I'd have trouble, even though it's my own, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, no, he never lost his hardcore. Is actually my favorite, my personal that, and I can't remember. There's so many. I can't. But yeah. I remember he never lost his hardcore. I did it in I went past there when I was in London a couple of weeks ago. I did it in the studio in Camden Town, and we did that in a day. I did it. I think I did with Bernie. I did it with Bernie as well. We did it in a day, and I put all the synths. I got the original, because the original was a breakbeat tune, you know, and it was me that persuaded Jerry to sign it, and then he gave me the remix. So, and it had like a kind of a weird wave piano one, and I put Hoover behind it. And I just bought myself a new EMU sampler. The reason I bought the EMU samplers was all Bernie used to work for people like Red Jerry, used to work for Tool Paul, everyone. We all knew each other, all part of the same thing. We all knew each other before we did music, you know. We used to and they all use samples where like you kept them close to your chest. It's not like now where you can go online, I get a million kick drums, I get you know. Back then, you had your samples. You used to go through record. I never really sample records, but people did. And you're like, you went through. It was like you kept them close to your chest. And because, like everyone, I had a few of all their samples they didn't know about, you know, that I got hold of. And so I used EMU, the emulator EMU, because they couldn't use them because it was on a different format. And that was the main reason for it. But yeah, no, I did that tune. Finished. I was really pleased with it. I remember the string at the end's out of tune, and that really bothered me. And then we got acetate cut, and I went to see Tony DeVee playing at Ministry of Sound, and he was the first person that played that record.
Right. Well, to be honest, earlier when we were talking about Injected with the Poison, I was getting mixed. I was thinking of Never Lost His Hardcore. That was the first thing I ever heard of yours. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's why I remember that.
I'm still. It was big. I'm over here in Germany. It was really big, which always surprised me. But and I gave it to Tony, and I remember he just looked at me like laughed, and pretended to throw the acetate away. But I gave it to him, and I think I gave it to Danny Rampling as well, who played it on the radio, something like that. I can't remember. But I remember listening when Tony. I was up in the DJ box at Ministry with Tony, and he's playing it, and I remember thinking all I could hear was that out of tune string. At the end, if you listen, it's out of tune. That's all I could hear. I couldn't hear the people go, wow, you know, all going crazy. I was just thinking that string's out of tune, that string's out of tune. But now I listen to it and I really like the fact the string's out of tune.
Right.
You know,
I guess nearly 30 years later, when you know everybody loves it, you're like, okay, I can deal with that.
I know, but then I heard like different versions, thousands of rehashes of it and stuff. But you know, I take it as a compliment. I mean, it's not really my original tune, but I take it.
Well, sometimes though, so what happens is like you can do a remix, and then everyone kind of adopts that as the original. Because it's so, you know, it becomes the one that everybody knows.
Like the Jam and Spoon Age of Love. That's
exactly.
It's so fun. Well, R&S sent me the samples and of the original Age of Love. And it's the most hysterical record you've ever heard in your life. It's got a jerk. I've still got the DAT somewhere. It's got a really dodgy European rap that's going crazy dog, like this fucking just the worst rap in it ever. And back then I was very strict about if it wasn't an original, I would not like, because the Jam and Spoon one had that kind of like line. I didn't use it because that wasn't. I was very strict on. I'm doing a remix because we were being paid a serious amount of money back then for remixes. You know, like $5-6 grand for each remix I did. I mean, that was fucking great, man.
Not bad for a day's work.
Well, I mean, I was more a remixer than an actual artist, to be honest. I mean, I did so many. And,
well, I mean, that's another interesting thing, though, that you are like, when you look at your catalog, like, I mean, the one for me is "Don't Stop" that you did on Tripoli.
That's another one with bad tuning, which really pisses me off.
Well, that track, I fucking love that track. It's so amazing. In fact, I did a remix, so I've just done a new track that's coming out on Vicious Circle in July, and then I did the remix of it. And the vocal that we put in it, like the influence for the vocal, was your remix of "Don't Stop." That was like kind of the feel that we wanted to get from it.
Oh, bless you! I look forward to hearing that. Yeah, I remember I did that, and I had this studio in this crazy. It was my first proper. Sorry, I'm getting attacked by my lead. It was my first studio. It was 66C Chalk Farm Road. I always remember why it sticks in my head. Yeah. And it was just full of crazy people. I mean, not in a good way, just like crazy people, you know. And we eventually, and I recorded that and there. We eventually had to, we were paying our rent to the landlord, and the landlord wasn't paying his rent. So, and we eventually had to. Excuse me. We eventually had to actually their landlords came to lock the studio in, and we actually had to come and with a locksmith and break into our own studio and steal all our own equipment.
Right.
And while we were stealing our own equipment, the police came in, and we're like this. There was like carrying mixing desks. I mean, it was our own equipment, but you know, like. But yeah, no, those are kind of crazy times. Sorry, what I've gone off on yet another tangent. Where were we before?
No. I was just saying that, you know, like when you look at your catalog, a lot of it is remixes, but then you look at the original tracks, the Ploughman's Lunch. Was it Yorkshire Pudding?
Yeah, I did a load on Ariba.
On Ariba, yeah, and incredible. Like, so I think it was Tidy Tracks asked us, me and Maddox, to do a collaboration, and what track did we want to remix? And I still remember we sat in the studio. Andy Pickles came in and said, "We're doing this thing. Work out a track that you guys want to remix." And we didn't even confer. We both just went, "I need you," and that's what we did. And the remix that we did is great, but it's not as good. It's not as good as the original. But
it's a really weird track, man. I mean, it's like I say, it's got really odd kind of. I don't think you could plan out making a record like that. It just happened, you know.
Yeah. Well, sometimes things just just work. So what do you do now? Like, what's your? I mean, obviously you said you're off to. You're coming back to Germany for the.
No, I'm in Berlin now. I'm going back to London.
Yeah, but then you're coming back for the Love Parade,
I still make records. You know, I take things slightly slow. I had a load of issues with my health a few years ago. You know, I've got a dodgy ticker, so I don't get stressed out as much as I used to, or try not to, for that reason. I'm making tracks all the time. I've just got a new one with Mike Van Dyke in a Marmion. And it's called I can never remember that. Wild and Loose, and it's coming out on a great label, but I can't say anything about it.
Right.
But yeah, I've put out stuff through the wonderful label Bluefin in Cologne. I play over here. I do my thing. I'm a happy bunny. I'm a happy bunny. I'm really, what I love about playing over here and working over here is the scene is so exciting. You know, when I play here, when I go out here, you can go out from Friday, Thursday night, all weekend. I'm not. I do. I'm far too old for that stuff now. But you can go out from Thursday night all the way through till Monday, Tuesday, or whatever. And which I love. It's like the old days, and it's young people, and they're so educated on they call everything techno, but it's a wide. I mean, when I'm here, I play some hard house stuff, but I mix it in, you know. Yeah. And they love it. You know, they love it. But it's a young, vibrant crowd. You know. It does remind me about the 90s in London, in England and London. You know.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of exciting kind of vibe. No, I love it.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, the journey that this podcast has sort of gone on, he's gone off on a real tangent. Me and Matt were just talking about this earlier, just how we didn't really expect it. I thought I was going to have maybe Paul Maddox and Ben Stevens on, and but then it kind of, I had people message him saying, "Can I come on?" And then obviously I've messaged people like you, but it feels like that because apparently the hard sound is making a real resurgence, which I had no idea about, but it's all kind of happening at the same time.
Certainly over here, a lot of what they call techno sounds very similar to the stuff we were all doing in the 90s. I mean, maybe slightly better produced, because of, naturally, because, with the modern
technology,
technology, and it could, but a lot of the ones, I think I could have grabbed a tune from now and gone back and it would have fit in. It wouldn't. And vice versa, because I played some old stuff, and no one seems to have noticed. I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing that hasn't progressed so far, but I mean, but yeah, no, it's exciting musically. I'm quite excited at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's good.
But I think as far as Paul's, your podcast, it's great. You're very easy to chat to.
Oh, thanks, man.
And if you're rude people, you're in Australia, so they can't come around and beat you up.
That's right. Yeah, there is that.
I did start doing. I wasn't a podcast; it was like a vlog. I did one or two of them. I did here, but I just found it. I loved it. I really enjoyed doing it. I really enjoyed the editing of things. But the trouble was trying to get DJs to turn up on time is like herding cats with their tails on fire. And I was just like, oh, for fuck, you know what I mean? And it's just like that was the only. I may do some more of them. I really enjoy doing them.
The trick is with the DJ, Quinn. What you have to do is you have to book it through their agent and pay a deposit, and then they turn up on time.
Oh yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. By the way, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Not enough, but okay.
And what's the plan for the future? I mean, what's Baby Doc?
I'm just really, really enjoying working at the moment. Just making music. That is my plan. Like I said, I'm part of the Microglobe collective, which has got some brilliant DJs, and it's run by the beautiful Kelly from Amsterdam. And so I have to give her a massive shout out. But yeah, no, we're just hello, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
But yeah, no, I just want to enjoy life. I'm doing a lot of video editing now.
Okay.
So now lately I've been kind of, when I work on a track, I think of the video as being part of it, and I'm really enjoying it. So it's given me a new artistic lease of life. I mean, it was a bit of a learning the program was a little bit of a struggle, I got to say, because I'm a bit of a Luddite as you could tell, when it took me like 20 minutes to set this fucking thing up. But yeah, I really find that editing, doing film. So when I'm working on a track, half my mind's thinking of the video. So the whole time I'm collecting. It's kind of like quite punky way, in a punk kind of way. I'm really enjoying it.
Well, that kind of ties in though what I was saying before about your tracks being like a Hans Zimmer type thing, where the music is influencing what you're seeing as well. So I've just lost my train of thought. One question actually. So some people ask some questions, and one of these is from Amadeus from the Tidy Boys.
Sorry, Emma, whatever it is.
He said, "Is it true that you once layered 9 kick drums together to make the hardest hard house kick?"
Well, but it's kind of set. Oh my god! I should just say yes. It's when it wasn't just. It's kind of true, yeah. Because what I used to do was back then, the kicks weren't hard. I had a real 9. I had the 909, but they sound quite soft, So what I used to do was at the end of a session, I'd sample the kick drum, and then next session I put it on top of another kick drum, and then so it got bigger and bigger and bigger. But now you can do it with one kick drum, boom, it's easy. But back then it wasn't. And so in theory, it is. It's kind of true. But what happens? I kind of overdid it. You could do it so, but I remember I got to the stage where it just went wrong, I had to go back to an earlier version. But yeah, it's kind of true, but probably about 4 or 5 kick drums.
Right. Still impressive. Yeah, sorry. The thing I was going to say earlier, that when I lost my train of thought, is like the way that technology like has progressed is just incredible. I was telling someone a story about how when we were running Vicious Circle and we had an office in the middle of Sheffield.
Yeah.
And we wanted to start doing, the plan was we were going to set a DJ box up at the end of the office and then have cameras and then do live streams of mixes, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember looking into the technology at the time, and it was going to cost us like £50,000 to sort of get it set up. And now you can just do it from your bedroom, you know, like anyone can do it. It's just incredible how, and that's only, that would have been 2010, so 15 years ago. Well, I guess it's quite a long time, but you know, it was just crazy.
I know. In some aspects, it's brilliant. It means it gives people an artistic output, which they would never been able to afford back then. But as a negative, it also gives fucking idiots an artistic output, which they never could afford before, you know.
And there's no one policing it. That's the problem.
No. I mean, that's one of my biggest irks. It's just like this huge. In the old days, if you wanted to get a record out, first you had to get a studio, pay for a studio, pay for an engineer, unless you were lucky enough to have your own. Yeah. And which was like, I remember when I was doing my remixes, I mean, I did use especially good studios, but I mean, it was costing me £1,000, £1,500 for a couple of days or a day, you know. Then you had to find a label that put it out. Then the label manager might say no, and then you've just lost £1,500 or £1,000 or whatever it's cost you. Yeah. And then you have to get it. So let's say you finally find a label that wants it, has to be pressed to vinyl, right? Which was back then, it was easy. It was like we'd send it off to get pressed. We get the TPs back at 7 days later. I recently tried to get something pressed to vinyl. They gave me they said it'd be a year and a quarter. Can you believe that? A year. I mean, what's the point of that? But then you had to, you know, the cost of manufacturing and all these things weeded out all the shit tracks. And so now, you know, I think it's like 4,000. Beatport has like something ridiculous, like 3,000 or 4,000 new tracks a month. Someone told me it's, you know, it's a number of thousands of new tracks, and it's just wading through all that stuff to find good ones, you know. And it kind of weakens them. Like, for instance, I got sent a record from Holland this morning that is just superb. And actually, there's one I don't need to tune, which is a shame, you know, but it's absolutely superb. But the chance of me hearing it without being sent it as a promo, if it goes out into the sea of, it's unlikely anyone will ever. I mean, it's a miracle, and a big tune comes around these days because there's just so much. This wall of kind of garbage, to be honest.
Yeah. I guess that is a problem. I mean, one of the other things as well that sort of I can't get my head around, and I understand, because obviously with the technology where they can just loop the beginning and loop the end, but these tracks now, this new wave of, you know, hard house DJs that are doing tracks that are 2.5 minutes long, and I'm like, I don't get that. I want to start a new like hashtag bring back the 3-minute building. That wants to be like something.
I hadn't heard that before, but I remember seeing one of the tracks I got sent. It said extra long mix, and it was like 4 minutes 10.
Yeah,
that's not even before the breakdown, mate. You know,
exactly. Yeah,
I mean, because all my old tracks in the day, I'm good at tuning. I'm good at, my timing's amazing. Terrible at some other things. Absolutely pants. So I'm not pretending I'm brilliant at everything, but I'm good at those two things. But all my tracks always seem to come in at 6:20. I could do, even if I didn't look at the timing, I go, oh, it's finished now. I look at 6:20. Right. You know, okay. Or you know. Well, I mean, you can make a track that's too long, you know. But like you say, I mean, a lot of the stuff, because of the looping thing, which I actually really like, because you can loop, so you can get some real good vibes with 2 tracks looping and looping. And then if you can bring a third deck in, it's great, you know. Right, yeah. But yeah, I mean, but just not bothering to make a full record because you just assume someone's going to leave is ridiculous.
That's right.
Fuck's sake, man.
And I should have probably asked this at the beginning, but where did the name Baby Doc come from?
It's from if I had known it would have stuck, I'd have come up with something a lot fucking better than that. It was basically, do you remember, we had a record. I was doing something with Red Cherry, and he goes, "Come on, we need artist name." And I was like, "I'll come up with something pompous, you know." And then I was thinking quickly, and you know, do you remember the Rizzler game where you used to write, you know, your name on the Rizzler, and you had to guess who each other? It's like a, you know, after dinner kind of game. I always put Baby Doc, like Baby Doc de Valier, who's a dictator. Although originally it was Papa Doc, that's it. But then there was a Papa D came. Anyway, but I put Baby Doc, and he go, come quick name. And I went Baby Doc, and it stuck. And it wasn't thought of at all. You know. But then with names, I mean, like, you know, the band U2, you don't really think about U2, what a crap name that is.
Yeah,
you know, you just think of it as the band, you know. But I mean, if I'd had known it would have stuck, like I said, I would have come up with something a bit more, bit clever.
Well, I've always liked it, but it's funny because I was talking to Dave the drummer, and he said exactly the same thing. So he's called Dave the drummer because he was in a band and he was the drummer. And then I think but it's not. He's called Henry. That's the thing. So
that's it. Yeah.
So his the guy that was called Dave in the band was how did it work out? Basically, the guy in the band was called Dave, but no one called him Dave, but everybody else in the band was called Dave, even though that wasn't their names. So when he started techno, he did Dave the drummer, but he said exactly the same. He's like, I wish I'd used a different name because he doesn't like it.
I think
well, exactly. That's what I said.
Yeah, I think
it's like my name. So people say, some people think that Paul Glazby is not my real name. I'm like, why would I make that name up? I mean, it's not. And I was talking about this earlier. I'll tell it now because I've not said this on the podcast before. So my name, my dad's name is John Glazby, Glasby. So that's how I was born.
Yeah.
But when I started DJing, I thought the Z was, you know, a bit more quirky.
Yeah.
And the other thing as well, people always said Glazby instead of Glazby. So I thought with a Z, hopefully people will say it properly.
That does work.
So I started with but then I used it for so long that I kind of became, you know, Paul Glazby with a Z. So when Nevaeh was born, or before she was born, I went and changed my name legally to a Z. So my passport and everything's now with a Z. But I've got Paul Glazby. I've got Glazby tattooed on my arm with an S, so my fucking name's spelled wrong.
You're going to get done at the airport. I was on tour in New Zealand. My full name is Quentin Franklin. I mean, thank you, parents. Fuck you. You know, well, one of them said, but and I was in. It was being called Quentin in the 70s in central London. And fucking, it was not fun. You know what I mean? It was not fun. You know, but it made me a harder person. I'll give it that. But I was in New Zealand at the airport, and I was getting I was sick. I wanted to go home. I was been on tour for like a month and a half. I wanted to go home, and I'm going to check in, and the guy goes, "Yeah, sorry, your name's wrong on your ticket." And they spelt one of the Quentin Franklin. How many of them do you think are in the fucking world, man? You know, and it was like the Quinton. There's one word they wouldn't let me on the plane. I mean, eventually they did. He goes, "Well, someone else might turn up, mate." And I was like, how many other people are going to turn up with a name like that? But my second name, Franklin, my grandfather made it up. It's not a real name.
Right.
Because he had an affair with my grandmother, who was married to a famous English general, and it was a huge kind of scandal, and he went off to France, and we worked out that it's like the English, because back then after the First World War and stuff, they didn't, it was some French guy put the English, and it got corrupted to Franklin. It's a shit name anyway, to be honest.
Right.
No, anyway, there's a little bit of history there for you.
Right. Well, my name, so Glazby, is they reckon is Irish or Scottish, because hundreds of years ago, when people moved from, like, let's say they came from Scotland and they came down to like a village in Yorkshire, and then they'd be registering people, but the people that were moving to the village couldn't read or write, And the person that was doing the register probably couldn't read or write that well either. So if someone said Gillespie, then they would have just written Glazby, and that's how the name came about.
That makes absolute sense. Yeah, it makes absolute sense.
Yeah. So other than Berlin in a few weeks, like have you got other gigs lined up?
I've got not that many of them. I basically cherry pick my. I don't need to be playing all the time. You know what I mean?
No,
I'm not really that. But I'm financially okay.
Yeah.
I can. I could be richer, but I'm just gonna. All I want to do when I get back is get down some work, actual studio work, because I find it. I'm one of those people that will. I'll work intensely, like 24 hours a day for a week. And I'll do like 10 tracks, like non-stop. And then I'll watch YouTube for 2 weeks and not do anything.
Right.
You know?
You're an all or nothing guy.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, it's part of my, what I call
ADHD.
I call it ACDC. It's better.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those, I always thought, because obviously if anyone's got ADHD, I'm the worst person to sit next to on the plane. Everyone thinks I'm about to do something strange. My legs going like this. But it's great for my friends. It doesn't affect my life in a bad way. It just apparently the most creative people generally have it.
Yeah. Well, I actually went back to. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, go on.
So I went to back to England last year, and I was talking to my sister, and her daughter had just been diagnosed with ADHD. So she's reading the symptoms off. And then I said, God, maybe I've got it. And my sister looked at me and she went, are you fucking joking? She went, of course you've got it. And then she said that this girl, Erica, who used to be a member at my gym, and she got diagnosed with it when she was about 40. And she'd said to my sister that she knew that I had it because I was one of the only people in her life that she could look in the eye when she was talking. Yeah. So she said she knew that we were on the same sort of frequency,
That's interesting. I spoke to my doctor about it because I got a dodgy ticker. I said, all my friends knew. I never knew I had it. All my friends knew I had it. But I spoke to my doctor. I said, and he said, well, I wouldn't worry about it. It's just a trait. In the old days, it was just called a trait. It was just how some people are. Now, obviously, they I can't have it because the medication is just amphetamine. I mean, very low levels. And with my heart, there's no way I can have that. And to be honest, I've got a dear friend of mine that's a doctor. And he said that if I took that medication, even if I was allowed, let's say I took that medication, I might suddenly stop making music because it can kind of take your creativity away from you. But I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'm just annoying to girlfriends and stuff. Find me really annoying. But
me too. But I mean, I think I just said it a couple of times. Like diagnose, it sounds like an illness, but it's like a superpower.
That's why.
If you can channel it.
Yeah,
and I think that's why, like kids. Because, in school, it's like, sit down, shut up, do your work. But if you like us, I'm guessing you didn't really like school.
Looking out the window, I hated it.
Exactly.
I just spent the whole time looking at, I mean, even like looking back when I didn't know I had it, I go for business meetings and I'm sitting there and within 12 seconds, my mind's just going like this, wandering off, and I found sitting for business meetings the most, I pretend to be listening the whole time,
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a quirk. No, I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me.
No. We don't mind it either, Quinn.
Thank you very much.
Well, mate, in fact, sorry, there's another question I need to ask. So Tommy. Two Wheels. Yeah.
Hi, Tommy Two Wheels.
He said, or he asked, what was it like hearing your tracks at Trade for the first time?
Oh, it's amazing.
Or just in general, I guess.
That was such a huge moment in my, not just at Trade, but actually Trade. Yeah, that was with going down there, and after the first time, I was like, I remember the first time I ever heard my actual record in the club was on the Friday night at Terminals. That Red Jerry had a night before. It was called the Gallery. This was years ago. I can't remember what his night was called. but he played it there. It's half empty at the time, and I remember just thinking there, oh, it's actually, you know, it was such a big thing. Then at Trade, I was obviously when I was well known, I'd hear like 5 or 6 of my tunes over an evening, you know. But even then, it was always a buzz. You know, you couldn't, you know. And it was nice to see what was good about Trade. You could see people's reaction to the music. I mean, my studio was, you know, 2 minutes walk from Trade, and sometimes I'd finish a tune, come down, and they play it. So you had that instant kind of, you know,
feedback.
reaction from the feedback, and and I could hear go there, and that's wrong, you know what I mean, you know. But yeah, no, it was. I remember also it was really exciting. I remember also getting my first record contract, and it was from Mute Records for publishing, and it was like 500 quid or something, and it was my first music. You had a little contract. I had a proper music contract and everything. And I was so proud. I remember going on the tube, looking through it, hoping people could see that I had a record contract. I was like, look. No, hearing your tune. I remember Casper Pound, he bless him. I've got that's how I always do it for good luck. Casper Pound from Rising High was a dear friend of mine. He always said the best time in the moment when you hear your tune from a passing car, and it's always stuck in me. And I have heard only once, but I have heard just walking down the road and hearing my record coming past in a passing car, and that was like, all right, I've ticked that box. Bless you, Casper.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've never had that, but for me, it was like still walking
time.
into where. Yeah, well, you're right. There is still time. Yeah, like walking into maybe Sunday Central, and then E&M was playing my. You know, that for me, I'm like, fuck you know.
I was texting with Ian yesterday. Bless him.
Oh yeah.
We were joking about various things back and forth to each other, like we always do.
Right.
He used to say, "Let's go on."
No, I was going to say, he's such a funny guy. He's
I love him. Yeah. We've had some really funny times with. He used to say when he used to come down and work in the studio, or sometimes before Trade, he used to say I lived up in Hampstead then in London. I used to come and stay. My dog, he always brought chocolate with him. And my dog, Hog the dog, the bull terrier, who's sadly obviously now gone. She still visits me in my dreams every week, which is nice. But Hog the dog just used to wait for Ian to come in, and the moment he left the room, she'd be in his bag. Like we come back in, and there's her like covered in his chocolate. And every time we said Ian's coming, bless him.
Well, I've said this on the podcast before, but I mean, I'm sure I've not heard this. I'll tell you. So obviously, Ian is always joking. He's always taking the piss and stuff. But the night after, or sort of the day after, I did a 10-hour set when I was supposed to be retiring. I ended up coming back more times than Frank Sinatra. But when I thought I was retiring, and the next day on the Sunday, I got a text from Ian, and it was like, you should be so proud. You've come into the scene. You've done all this stuff, and I was like crying reading it because to get that from Ian,
was there an and at the end?
No, there was no piss take or anything. It was just like this heartfelt. It was amazing. I wish I'd still got it, but it was just incredible to get that from the guy that I used to, 12 years before, 14 years before. He was the guy that I used to go and watch to try and learn how to mix.
I was a big Iggy Pop fan.
Okay.
And I got a remix by EMI for Iggy Pop Nightclubbing. Anyway, I did the remix, and at the time I was so tired because I was the management, everyone was pushing me, always put too much. I had a kind of mini breakdown because I was so tired because I was like doing 4 or 5 remixes in a week, not sleeping, and I remember once driving back. I had big old Army Land Rover driving back to this place in Hampstead. And I was crying. I was so tired. And I was so jealous of the people going to work because I knew they'd been to sleep. And I knew, the proper manager would say, right, you're having a week off now. You're not doing anything. But they were raking it in. I was too young to say no, And I remember driving back and I can't remember where I started on that one. But yeah, crying that I was so jealous of where did I go? I can't remember where I started on that one. But anyway.
Well, I was talking about Ian, and I said about the message that he'd sent.
I don't know how I got off on that one. Oh, Iggy Pop, right?
Iggy Pop, sorry, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Anyway, that was coming back from the Iggy Pop session,
right?
And about I was back in my studio about 2 or 3 weeks later, and the phone, when we had a proper phone, ring ring, and the phone went. There are people in there and went, "Oh," and he went, "Hey man, it's Iggy," and I went, "Hey, I love your remix, man." Like that for me was my kind of thing.
Right, yeah. Wow. Amazing. Well, mate, thank you so much for coming on.
Likewise, I really enjoyed it.
It's I've been kind of anxious about doing this just because because I don't know you, so having a conversation, you just don't know how it's going to go.
You're great to talk to. Good luck with when I grow up.
Thanks, mate. That's
And hello, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Yes, brilliant, mate. Well, you take care, and hopefully we can catch up again at some point down the track. But you take care. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Paul.
Peace, pal.
This is When I Grow Up with Paul Glazby.